co-founder of Flutter Kaduna. So for our speaker today, she's a software engineer who is a triple threat because she's not just a mobile developer, but also a full stack web developer and a UI UX designer who have worked on some projects like music streaming app, food delivery app, online course app, and many others. And she's here to and she's here not just to talk about AI chatbots. She's here to show us a world where your AI is agentic, which means it doesn't just sit there. It thinks, it adapts, and it practically designs itself. She's basically teaching AI to do the heavy lifting for us. So let's welcome our speaker for today, who is Martha Agu. Thank you all.
Hi everyone. Thank you, Queen, for that introduction. Thank you, Amra, for your explanation. Hi, Flutter Kaduna. Thanks for having me. My name is Martha Agu. I'm a software engineer. I build apps with Flutter every day, and I love that it helps us to create fast, beautiful experiences for our user. I wanted to ask, can I show my slides? Can anyone hear me? Okay, I think I should.
Yes, we can hear you. That's good.
Can you guys see my screen? Okay. Okay, so today I'm going to show you how to build Flutter apps that feel truly agentic. Where the UI can redesign itself in real time based on what your users say or your users' behavior. So you can write less boilerplate and then you can ship smarter and more adaptive experiences. Like as a Flutter developer, some of the times when I see some UIs that say that use AIs, I'm like, this is going to take a lot of code. How am I going to do this? How am I going to build this? It takes a lot of logic from the back end. But Gen UI and Flutter and Google, they came up with this nice package and nice SDK for us to integrate AI into our applications. And the beautiful part of it is that as a developer, you don't have to write so much code. You just have to plug in the components of this particular package. And then for your users will use the app and they would feel that the particular app that they are using or the app that you have built is actually um, tailors to their own experience or what they actually want. So what if your users could just say, book me a trip to Lagos next weekend? And your Flutter app would just instantly build the perfect form with the budget sliders, with the hotels, with the hotel carousel, with the date pickers, all without you pre-coding it. So that's what Gen UI is like today. So before we used to use chatbots that just spit out walls of text, like what we are seeing in a traditional LLM response over here. But now with Flutter Gen UI, AI builds dynamic interactive UIs from plain messages to rich cards to sliders to buttons, all in real time. Your app doesn't just respond, it redesigns itself for every single user. So the problem before is that as Flutter developers, we often assume that building truly adaptive AI-powered experiences will mean endless hours of tweaking your layouts, writing if and else statements as your conditionals, and then maintaining doses of screen variants. But what if AI can handle most of that iteration for you while you keep full control? So that leads us to what agentic AI is. So agentic AI is a user interface that can act autonomously, making decisions about your layout, your content, and your interaction dynamically. It's often powered by AI or rules that respond to user behavior. Sometimes you can be the one to make the rules. It depends on how you want it to be. You can just give the AI, okay, this is what my app does. And sometimes you can just leave the AI to think on its feet. So agentic AI, they adapt in real time, they learn from user interactions, and then they reduce manual intervention. Examples of Agentic UI is like a news app that reorders cards based on reading habits. So, for example, you built a news app, and let's say a software engineer decides to use your app, and they read mostly maybe about cars, about the new trend in tech, and so. So, your Agentic UI would use the user behavior, and then the next time that particular user comes to the application, instead of showing them all the list of the news, the list of all the news podcasts that actually have that day, your user would just see the particular ones that they seem to like more. So this is what AI does for you. And then it doesn't just show you just text. It uses your own, it uses the app's, let's say, widget or its own widget that it built according to what the developers of that particular app had actually mentioned it to be. So another example is a productivity app that automatically resizes itself and prioritizes widgets for the most used features. So this is what an agentic UI is. So agentic UIs, they emphasize autonomous behavior. It acts on its own. It learns from user interaction and it reduces manual input. You don't have to code every single thing. You just have to give the prompts to AI, and then it uses what you have actually told it, the instruction that you gave it to the developer render to render results or responses to your user. So a generative UI is it's like an interface. It's created by AI based on prompts or templates, like automatically generating new screens or components based on a design request. So Gen UIs are like user interface. They are that are dynamically created or adapted by AI, usually large language models, LLMs, based on natural language prompts. It can be more like it can be like a chat, like your chat GPT. They give you like, okay, can you book a trip for me into Lagos this weekend? Then it renders widgets. So it uses both language prompts, user context, behavior, or real-time data. So instead of designers or developers handcrafting every screen, component, layout, or flow in advance, the AI generates it. So examples are like the Google Gemini apps dynamic view or the visual layout. You all know how visual Google Gemini can be. And another example that we'll be seeing today in real time is the Flutter Gen UI SDK. That is the Google Flutter official package. So I know you can now ask, okay, so what's the difference between, or what's the comparison or the connection between agentic UIs and generative UIs? So the connection is that the agentic UI, it acts like the brain or the functional intelligence. That is the why that your app is actually doing it. It takes, let's say, your functions. Let's say your app is a trip like trip advisors or they book trips. So maybe let's say you have a particular function that says book trip or checkout. So your agentic UI takes that functions and then it decides, okay, what to actually do with the instructions it has been given to. So it's like the reasoning engine. That's the logic. It's like the director. So agentic UIs, they think, they plan, they call functions, while the Gen UI is the visual output. That is the actual widgets that are being rendered on the screen. So Gen UI can exist without Agent UI, Agentic UI. An example is like a prompt that changes a theme. And an Agentic UI can also exist without Gen UI, such as a chatbot that sends text. But the combination of an Agentic UI, Agentic UI using Gen UI, it creates a physical clickable tool instead of just words or instead of just widgets. So this could be considered the future of apps. So um, for example, there is the Flutter Gen UI framework. They work together as a team. So this Flutter Gen UI has both the Agentic UI and the Gen UI. So where the Agentic UI decides, okay, from this prompts, this user actually wants a travel itinerary. Then the Gen UI will now execute saying, okay, I understand. Let's render flight card widgets, let's render map widget, or let's render the button widget. So that is Agentic UI and Generative UI working together. So the Flutter Gen UI was actually developed. It was a package that was developed last year on November 12th of 2025, and it combines these Agentic UIs and Generative UIs. So you as a developer, you don't have to now start stressing yourself to give render both the logic and then the widgets. So just with this package, you would see how easy, very, very easy it is to just use this package and render what your user actually wants. So although some developers have actually been experimenting with similar concepts throughout 2024 and 2025, but this particular date will mark the transition of GenUI from an experimental idea into an official alpha SDK from Google. The GenUI package is like the core orchestration layer of the Flutter GenUI SDK. So it allows developers to replace the normal, standard, boring walls of text or just normal, boring chatbots to or plain screens from an AI with dynamic interactive Flutter widgets built on the go. For example, with the GenUI package, you can move your app screen from this boring book me a trip to Lagos next weekend prompt to something that looks like this with the widgets, the budget sliders, with the selection of dates, with flight widgets and the rest. So this package uses agents to UI protocol internally. So instead of the AI sending raw Flutter code, it sends JSON-based instructions called A2 UI messages, which you would still see when we actually. So I think enough talk. Let's see this in action with a real example. Um, so I think I would have to switch to my Visual Studio. Mhm. Let me find my Visual Studio. Mm. Can you guys still see my screen? Okay. So this is a Christmas card genuine flutter. Initially I used a travel planner application, but I exhausted my Gemini API calls. So I would just have to use this Christmas card genuine demo app for illustration. So let's start with the PubSpec.yaml, obviously, which is like the main engine of our app. So so when you want to install this GenUI package, so um these are the dependencies that actually makes the whole magic possible. So at the heart is the Gen UI, which is like the official SDK that lets AI turn prompts into real Flutter widgets. Then we have the Gen UI Firebase AI, which connects us safely to Gemini through Firebase. So no exposed keys, beta quotas. Without the Gen UI Firebase AI, you can maybe call your API directly with Google Gemini APIs or with the Flutter, Firebase AI Studio. But it's using Gen UI Firebase AI actually makes it like easier. So you don't also expose your keys out there, your API keys, and it also has the beta quotas as well. So then we have the Firebase core. Obviously, we know that this is whenever we are using Firebase in any application, we have to initialize our Firebase with the Firebase core. That's what tells Firebase or your app that this Firebase is actually implemented in this particular application. So then the login is just to help us to debug silently failing requests. So when prompts are being sent to the AI, so you can actually know, okay, this is why this particular prompt failed. This is why it did not show this that I told it to show. So this is why it's not a prerequisite for running this, but I just use it so that I can always, when I'm testing the application, so I will know what is failing and what is actually being sent to the AI. It's going to show you down to how AI how
Um, and this is much less because we Iran
is it okay. Okay. So it's not a prerequisite for running the app, but I'm just using it to know the how the flow
Hey,
is going
Martha,
from. Yes.
sorry,
Can you
it
hear
seems
me?
your screen sharing is off, so we can't
Oh,
see. Yeah.
okay. Yeah. Can you see it now?
Uh, yes, it's back. Thank you.
Okay.
You can continue.
Okay. Okay. So then um the login just shows you like all the interactions, how the logic went, how the thinking flow went. So if you need to adjust anything, you adjust it just for better display to your users. Then the loader overlay and the Flutter spin kits is just to make the user see a nice spinner by the AI thinks, because obviously the AI would still like require some time to think, and also for a good user experience so that your users don't think that maybe something is broken while maybe AI is just trying to think and display the widgets. So that's it about these are just the core dependencies that you need to run GenUI package. Um, so for the main that we're just using the logger root, and we've already installed Firebase into our application. So in the process of setting up your Firebase to run this application, you have to use the one of the tools in Firebase, which is the AI logic. So this is where you use the AI logic, and then it just gets you, and you don't need to manually create an API key from Google Gemini. When you want to just set it, Firebase just does that for you. So that's why it's actually good you use Firebase, the Firebase GenUI Firebase AI package dependency, sorry, to run the GenUI. Because if you're going to do it manually, you have to start creating API keys directly from Gemini. So I believe most of us already know how to install Firebase. Just need to like run some. Is either you do it manually or you just run the Flutter um, the Flutter terminal commands, and then it creates your Firebase for you. So this is where you just like initialize it here on the app so that the entire app can actually like use it. Then um so this is like the entrance of the app, because we called it here on the main, we called the Christmas card app. So let's just load that overlay, because this is a demo app. So this is the only thing that this app has. So we have to like call the loader overlay here. And this is where the main thing happens. So we've already imported our packages and we are using stateful widgets because we need to manage the user inputs from the name, the relationship, the color, and dynamic surface ID as well. So we need a stateful widget. If you're using states like the consumer widget and the rest, you can still change it. You just have to be stateful. Then our text editing controller just to control the recipient's name field, just to personalize the display. Then the selected relationship, the selected color name, the selected color UI is just to track the drop down and the selection states. Okay, I think I should show you guys what we are. Well, let me maybe when I finish with it. So then we have the A to UI message processor. I mentioned this earlier. So this is what converts A to UI JSON from Gemini into real Flutter widgets using your catalog. So it acts like a decoder. It converts your raw AI data into specific Flutter widget. That's why it's called A to UI message processor. So it converts those raw data and then into your specific Flutter widgets. Like if you notice in this my folder structure, I created components. So this is what the Gen UI is going to use to render to my users. They would have to use maybe my text widgets, my custom text widgets, my color picker, my dates selector, which like actually tailor to this to my application, just to like keep things looking nice and in uniform as well. So then we have the Firebase AI content generator. So this is the brain that talks to Gemini via Firebase with your system prompt. So like I said, instead of you to manually go to Gemini to start creating API keys, the Firebase AI content generator just generates your Gemini API keys for you, and then you don't even have to start like manually copying and pasting your Gemini API keys using running Flutter run and your Gemini API key together. So Firebase AI content generator just handles it for you. So then we have the Gen UI conversation. So this is the central object that manages the whole flow. So from the user to the agent to the UI. So this handles like the conversation that goes between these three parties. So then we have the current surface ID. So this tracks the specific widget tree that is being displayed. So it ensures that the Gen UI surface is what displays, you know, when you prompt the AI. So the Gen UI surface is what actually renders the correct AI generated content after calling your functions, your widgets, everything. The Gen UI surface just renders what was actually being called. So then we have your the system instruction. The system instruction is the key. This is like the most important thing, the most important part, because this is what's going to tell Gemini exactly how to behave. So the system instruction is like giving Gemini a job description. So it tells the AI how to act, let's say, for this as a holiday card expert. And just like how we told it here, you are an expert festive UI designer and holiday copyright. So this is just, and we even have to like impute the selected color name. That is the color that the particular user had selected, that they want their greeting card to be like. So this is you, the developer, telling, to giving your Gen UI a particular instruction on what it is supposed to do. So it doesn't like run free and then start wondering what is your app actually for. So then so all these things are in the init states. Though if this was a larger application, obviously you would have to like separate the different components and then call them just to keep your code neater. Then so we've already talked about the conversation. So when you're actually done initializing all these things, you call everything under your GenUI conversation, which is what handles the way the conversation or the central object of how your flow is actually going. So the surface added. So this is like this because our display or our responses actually like creates different responses. So this actually keeps track of what is actually being rendered. It listens to know which of them to actually display. So this is just like a small function to keep track of that, to add and also to like delete. Then obviously you have to call your dispose just so that your app does not break. And so these are just like the minor normal functions that you call. So we have the generate card. So this is our own, this is your own function. This is what you're actually calling to the logic that you're giving your Gen UI on what to actually do with the prompt that is being given. So it's like the magic trigger. So when the user just taps on generate, it will just build like a personalized prompt with their inputs, then to send it to the conversation, which is the Gen UI, and wait for Gemini to create a card via the surface updates. So it builds a dynamic prompt using the user's input. Then that's for this particular application. For this for GenUI package, it's not restrained to a particular thing. You can use it as a chat bot in your application. You can use it as, let's say, for a medical app, you can have a button that says book with AI. And then with that book with AI, you just have to plug in your functions, plug in your data, and your GenUI package would use those functions and those instructions, the system instruction you've given it to render to your user, okay, this is what you actually need to do. So to also like catch errors and then to show like nice messages, just the normal way your function works. But this time it is AI that actually giving it displaying the information and the response as well. So I've already explained what the Gen UI surface does. These are just normal and normal everyday Flutter codes, like your custom input section and our okay, yes, and our input just to send messages to the AI. So I would show you a small demo. Let me share that screen. So, like I said, I had actually planned to use a travel planner, but I exceeded my API call. So we'll just use this particular demo. So this is a holiday card maker. So like I said, your Gen UI, you can use it in different forms. You can use it as a button, and you can use it as a chat bot. You can use it as a form filling. Anyhow, it's a very free tool that you can use anyhow you want it. You just have to tweak. You already know your core component, your conversation, your surface ID, your HUI, and that's it. You're just ready to go. You can use it in any part of your application. Some people literally build their application solely with GenUI package. So this is a simple holiday maker. So let's say this person's name is Alice, and let's say is the let's say is the cousin, and we're using pink. So you click on the generate. It's going to take some time because my network is a bit slow. So so this screen is actually very simple. So because the inputs are just at the top and there's a placeholder in the middle, and when the agent finishes, the Gen UI appears with full generated card and the text and the layout, and all will like be rendered like Flutter widgets. So I think this is taking some time. Let me check my login tools to see what's the problem. Okay, I think this is taking time, but as it's generating, uh, I don't know if anybody has any question to ask. Okay, yes, Mohammed, you want to ask a question?
Okay. So another, I it's more like a suggestion because
Yeah.
there's this app I just vibe coded now. I
Okay.
used a prompt. I wrote a prompt with ChatGPT. Can now
Okay.
paste it on. I don't know if Google has AI extension of VS Code. And I now pasted it there, so it just coded everything for me. For me, I'm using ChatGPT's AI.
Yeah, yes, you can because sometimes it's other AIs that actually know how to speak to the other AI. So yes, you can actually use ChatGPT and or any of the Grok and the rest and generate your system instruction.
Okay.
Yeah, great, great. So, I think any other question?
Okay,
And
so this
please,
has
sorry, so I
generated.
have one more question.
Okay,
Please, I will have to get the link of Flutter Kaduna community. I would like to join. Can you send it on this thing?
Yes, that will be provided. Yeah, that will be provided in the WhatsApp, but I'll also try to provide it within the messages here.
Thank you.
okay, so I just observed that this API calls have also exceeded the quota as well. So I am actually sorry for this. I actually had like better um a better distance to actually show. So but this is how it's supposed to like show like a card generator and stuff. So but if you have any further questions, there are actually materials out there you can read and also like check the official documentation on Flutter Pop there to give you like a better view. But there's no serious code or a huge codes to actually use and integrate AIs to your application. You can use it to render widgets for your particular users. You can use it to as a chatbot. You can use it even as your customer care screen. You can use it as like your own AI in your particular application. So yeah, that's it. Thank you guys for listening.
Yes, thank you so much, Martha. That was a very, very educative session. I really learned a lot. So yeah, I see some of you are raising your hands. Let's start with Umar. Umar, what's your question?
Okay, thank you very much, Martha. I really enjoyed this session. Thank you. So I have two questions. So the first question is this: you made mention of you can use the Gen UI package and then the Gen UI Firebase AI package. So I was wondering, is it a must if I don't really want to use the Gen UI Firebase AI? Is it a must that I must put it, or I can just go with the Gen UI? Only since maybe like for example I don't want to add Firebase in my project at all. I just want to just use the Gen UI. Is that possible? Then my second question is this for the for the Gen UI, do I need to like design any costume components apart from the MP tool that I just saw you did? Like do I need to design any costume component for it to know or something of such? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Uma, for that question. Yes, you can decide to not use Firebase. Like I said, you can. The only thing is that it relies on Gemini, so you have to use Gemini API keys. I don't know if they accept other keys, but for now, because this package was it was launched last year, so I believe with time they would be open to accept other other API keys from other AI agents. But for now, you can decide not to. The only thing that Firebase, the Firebase package, the GenUI Firebase AI package does for you is that it handles your API keys from Gemini directly. You don't have to manually go directly to Gemini to create your API keys and start calling it via every Flutter run that you do, or start creating an environmental variable of your API keys. So yes, you can directly go to Gemini and create your API keys and call it and use it on the application without going through Firebase. So I think your second question, I think you asked, what was the second question again? Sorry.
Sorry, I was asking, do I need to design any kind of custom interface?
Oh,
Like,
yes. Not really. If you don't give it any widgets, right? What it will do is that it will use, let's say, maybe the normal material UI widget, which will not really be so nice on your application. You can decide to just give it a prompt. Just you can tell it to use the normal text widgets, or I mean, Flutter comes with its own library of widgets. So yes, you can decide to tell it to use the normal text widget, or maybe to use the normal calendar pickers and the rest. But I mean, the beauty of it is that you can design your own widgets, your own custom widget. If your app is blue, you tell it to use the brand color of your application, the brand color of your company. If you have a particular style of displaying calendar or displaying inputs, you tell it to use your custom widgets. It's a very free tool. It's very dynamic. You can decide to use it however you want. You just call the main component they're supposed to use. It even comes with its own normal catalog widgets. You don't need to tell it to actually use it, but just that it looks ugly. That's just the problem. So yeah, you can.
That's a great answer. I think, yeah. Any other questions aside from